Hey everybody, it's Professor McClendon, and I'm doing that bonus draft mead tasting that I promised all of you that I would do. Uh, Tonight's selection is 2.5 varieties of a Sangria draft mead. And I say 2.5 because I'll get to it in a moment. But what exactly is a draft mead? Well, draft meads, A, they tend to be carbonated. B, they have a lower alcohol content than a regular mead. And also, one bit of note is that draft meads often, or at least for the meadery that I frequent, you want to consume them when they first come out. You don't want to sit on them the way you might sit on a bottle of wine or another bottle of mead or even some other hard spirits, because the reason for that is how it tastes fresh when it's first put out is the taste that the meadery uh, intends. And unlike a lot of other spirits, they will, which will change as it ages. It's technically not what they're going for. And the reason I'm mentioning that is going to be important when I get to the tasting. Uh, Now, just so that everybody knows, also, you know, hey, these meads come in a can. And before anybody goes, oh, mead in a can, well, it means it must not be very good. No, what it is that I actually asked the meadery why in a can, and they said it's a cost-saving measure as opposed to bottles, because the cans are cheaper than bottles, for one. They don't have to put any big special labels on the packaging the way they would have to do for their bottled meads. And as you can see, for example, uh, they just take a marker and write on the can what it is. So um, it's cheaper. It has no reflection on the quality. Also, it's done because they're smaller batches, as opposed to the big batches of non-carbonate of non-draft mead. It just, again, cost saving. And the meadery that I'm going to be tasting from, for example, has won awards from its canned meads. So, you know, that alone should tell you quality, because it's in a can, equals, you know, it's not a reflection of the quality, is what I'm getting at. All right. Now, I said it's going to be two separate, and the meads are off to the side. That's why you're going to see me doing this every now and again. And I apologize for the glare on my glasses. I'm literally looking at my computer screen. But what it is that um, I've got two separate sangria draft meads, like I've already said. One is a red, and the other 1.5 is a white. And the 1.5 aspect of it is it's the same sangria draft mead. It's just from two separate batches. In fact, they actually slightly changed the name. One is kind of like its Spanish name. One of it is kind of its English name. It's in an English name, and so yeah, that's why it's 1.5. So it's gonna be three tastings, and kind of like a tasting within a tasting, because the main tasting is going to be, hey, here's a red and a white sangria mead, and then the sub tasting is a whole, batch A versus batch B kind of situation. So let's get started, shall we? And oh, by the way, before we get started, um, when I said that, drink them absolutely fresh, hey, awesome. I firmly believe that that's what should be done, especially since that's what the experts tell me. But what it is that um, I've been waiting to consume these. I've been holding them back for a tasting. I normally try to, as you know, you may or may not know, I try to do my tastings with friends so that I'm not the only opinion delivered on the day. And so I just haven't gotten around to drinking them. I've been saving them up. And so um, one of the uh, white wine meads has been around since 2020, late 2020, like November, December, and the others are like February, March of 2021, and here it is midway through 2022. So um, it's entirely possible, and it's more than likely, I should say, that the flavors have indeed changed. Um, and hopefully they're still good. If they're not still good, then this will be an interesting you know, trip to take. Also, just that everybody knows, yes, this does come from Melovino Meadery. I sample their stuff very frequently. I love it to death. Um, no, they have not paid or endorsed me to do this. Uh, you know, they're not benefiting any. The only way they're benefiting, I should say, is that I highly recommend the meadery to everybody. Everybody tells me I should try to reach out to them and get some sort of official endorsement. But hey, it is what it is. All right, so I'm gonna now basically the three meads today, or like I said, two and a half. The red mead is their Ferry Street Punch, and the two white meads are known as White Girl Spanish and Gringa. Again, it's just, basically the same name, just in two separate languages. Now, Ferry Street Punch, the red one, is berries and orange. And the two white ones, the Gringa and the White Girl Spanish, are apples and orange. Let's start off with the Ferry Street Punch. Okay, here we go. Oh, still has carbonation. It still sounds like it's got carbonation. That's a good sign. All right, here we go, everyone. Oh, actually, hold on. Okay, I'm smelling it, and I'm definitely getting the notes of orange. Yep, definitely, that orange citrusy smell to it. All right, it's definitely got a very orangey, citrusy taste. Um, I'm noticing the alcohol uh, a bit, but that could be just again because it has aged for about a year and a half. Um, the overall flavor beyond the orange is actually rather subtle. It's nice to sip. Um, got a very refreshing. You know, hey, I would enjoy this on a warm day kind of vibe to it. So I do like it. I'm going to have a few more sips before going to the next ones. Oh, definitely. Oh, I think I'm getting some of the berries with it now. Um, yeah, it's quite good. I do enjoy it. Now I've had these before. I know which is another reason I was saving them because you know this way we're fresh opinions. Okay, I'm going now to the White Girl Spanish, which is one of the batches. And again, one of these was in November of 20, and the other was in like November, December of 20, and the other was like February, March of 21. So let's see. Okay, so this is the White Girl Spanish again. As with the Ferry Street, I'm getting the citrus. It's very noticeable. The carbonation still was noticeable. Well, that's pleasant. That's very pleasant. Um, the apples and the orange flavor that are in uh, the white wine sangria um, is very nice. The overall flavor is, you know, the orange is very noticeable and very, very pronounced, but the drink as a whole is quite mild and, for lack of a better term, it's almost subtle. Which is kind of strange because, like I said, it's the orange is very pronounced, but the rest of the drink is very subtle. Uh, I almost set it down. You know what? I'm gonna have a few more sips on this one before going over to Gringa. Oh, mm, that is delightful. That is. All right, and now for the last one. All right, Gringa. And I honestly don't expect this to be much different than the White Girl Spanish, because again, it's the same mead, and I apologize for the broken record. It's the same mead, just different batch. All right. Okay, so it's the carbonation, which is good. Okay. As with its counterparts, I'm definitely getting the smell of orange. Ooh, ooh, that's that's different. Um, I know the White Girl Spanish and the Gringa are supposed to be the same mead, and I even double checked with the meadery, like, hey, is there any actual difference between Gringa and White Girl Spanish? And they went, no. Um, but I am tasting a difference between them. The apple uh, is more forward in the Gringa than it was with the White Girl Spanish, and mix that with the apple because the apple because or excuse me, mix the apple with the orange because the orange is still very prevalent as well, and so um, it you know I'd have to do some more questions and go, hey, what exactly did you do differently? Did you play around with the mixture at all, or is it just the same exact? But for this one, I can notice the apple a little bit more. And one moment before I continue doing this, because I just want another drink. Ooh, it's almost like the ratios between with the apple and the orange are different between White Girl Spanish and Gringa, and um, so I find that you know if I wasn't told that Gringa and White Girl Spanish were the same draft mead from two separate batches, I would almost think they were actually different. Uh, and that's just again, because the apple is just more noticeable with Gringa, and I'm finding that I'm liking the Gringa batch more than the White Girl Spanish, and so it's you know it's rather delightful, definitely. Um, well, that's all the ones that I'm going to try tonight. Um, the Ferry Street Punch, I liked it. Um, the citrusy aroma was quite nice, and I'm going to have another drink while I talk about it. Um, definitely very delightful. Um, oh, now that I'm drinking again, just slightly tart, but that could be because it's made with berries as opposed to apples and oranges. Um, it's good. I recommend it whenever it comes out, because a lot of the draft meads by Melovino they come out in I shouldn't say waves, but in cycles. So you might see a draft mead and then it might be gone for a few months or a couple of years and then it'll come back. So the Ferry Street Punch, when it comes around again, get it. That's my recommendation. Get it. For the White Girl Spanish, you know, I definitely like it. Now that I'm tasting it again, I'm correct. The apple is not as prevalent. Um, by all means, I recommend it to anyone who's had white girl Spanish. Get it. And then for Gringa, definitely. And so, here are the sisters together. And it's definitely interesting to compare, different batches. Now, both of them are delightful, Gringa and White Girl Spanish. So whichever version, or whichever name I should say, comes out next time, get them, because you will not be sorry. Especially if you like sangrias, and I don't mind sangrias at all. I think if I had to give a favorite of the three, I'd definitely have to go with the Gringa. I definitely like the combination with the apples and the oranges, and oops, excuse me. Uh, it's just it proved to be the most delightful of the three that I did today, and so yeah. Well, I can see between the fact that I'm getting a little bit of you know a buzz up here that you know it is doing what alcohol tends to do to somebody. Um, and before I go, final disclaimer: um, don't drink unless you're of legal drinking age, uh, and always exercise discretion and moderation, because you don't want to overdo it. And uh, for those of you who uh, know why I'm doing this tasting, know uh, what that is referring to. Uh, I won't get into the story, but yeah, moderation, and don't do it if you're underage. Um, and now that I'm tasting them, having aged beyond the few months that they recommended, as opposed to a year and a half, almost 2 years, uh, I really should get on to some of the other draft meads that I've got sitting around, because some of them have been sitting around for almost as long. Um, well, this is Professor McClinton. Up, tongue-tied, beginning. I should, shut up soon. But yeah, as I always say, I try them so you don't have to, but in this case, you really should try these. They're very, very good. All right. Uh, hey, and if you like what I do, by all means, give me a follow. Tell all your friends to give me a follow, because hey, that's how I improve you know, the fan base, and the more of you that I can reach, the more people I make happy doing this. So until next time, everybody, ciao.